Hey guys, my name is Seniac and welcome back to another episode of Subway Builder, where last episode we did a beautiful Brooklyn expansion. We extended our yellow line and of course our red line, which wiggles its way through on the way to extending over into Staten Island, which has now managed to make us pick up a bunch of new passengers. The route ridership is now going for the roof for those two lines. But it comes with its own issues. When we extend a line into no man's land, it puts a lot of pressure on the line without any additional support. Now, before we get on to tackling anything to do with that, today I want to try and focus on trying to help the passengers within Manhattan. Now, if we go to our demand stats, we know that there is a lot of people that live here. Obviously, you can see it's slowly turning from red to green, a little bit of purpley blue. But when we check workers, it's still predominantly all red. This is where all the workers want to go, and we need to kind of create a little bit of support to crisscross. So I've mentioned this in the past before about building a line that kind of crosses all of these lines almost, right? And I think the perfect way to do it is to run that line through the Broadway road. This should be very, very interesting. Let me just kind of slow this down a little bit right now. We're slightly getting ahead of ourselves. Right now. But this should help us. This should alleviate a lot of pressures and also create quicker routes for people to want to use our subway network. So if you are enjoying Subway Builder and excited to see where this New York subway network is going to expand next, then make sure you smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you're new around here so you do get notified when more episodes do come out. Now, we're going to try a couple of different techniques I'm yet to do in this series. And some of them might rely on us kind of running some parallel lines, kind of alongside some lines. Now, the problem I've got is I don't really want to delete what I've currently got, solely because it's a lot of work. I've then got to redo the whole line. It becomes a little bit painful. It's a shame this game doesn't allow us to add the ability to upgrade certain tracks to 4-lane. So until we maybe eventually will have that feature in the future, we're going to have to do a little bit of a work around. So the obvious thing we're going to do right now is we're going to figure out where we're going to run this line. Now, with the predominant set of people in this vicinity, running through Broadway is perfect. Because when we check our station ridership, and you can kind of then see where the transfers are happening. So if I do transfers, let me just wait for the game to kind of catch up on itself. So obviously we're going to be transferring mainly on, the junctions where trains connect. But it's the yellow line that takes the majority of the flack. They really do struggle. If I do it all right now, so you can see all the numbers. The yellow line struggles the most, the amount of people getting on and off. And it's mainly here. The red line a little bit. So having that support in line is going to help the yellow line dramatically. So we're 100% going to run through here. It will allow me to add maybe an extra stop or two. So I know we're going to crisscross this yellow line station here. I know that 100%. So I think we're going to build that first. Now, it's New York, so I need to also check the minimum build depth. Now, we're going to be running on Broadway anyway. So if I put the minimum build depth to be a -10, do you reckon, is that enough here? It is. So put you just there. There's our first station there. Absolutely beautiful. So what I could do then is I could simultaneously kind of run parallel with the existing stations. It's only a short walk, but it kind of spreads out where we can then kind of collect people, drop them off, taking a little bit of pressure off our yellow line. So we know that's going to work, and let me just kind of commit right now to just this minute expansion before we plan the rest of it then pretty much all out. Now, this is going to be expensive because we are kind of maintaining a -10 depth as opposed to the -5 that we already have. So my next question then is, how are we then transitioning off the yellow line? Because we're about to come back onto it. There is a little bit of a blue line there. But how are we then transitioning onto the green line? Well, obviously it makes sense to kind of continue until we find out where it makes sense to cross over. Now, do I incorporate another station just here? Now, the only downside is it will be treated as a separate station, and we are going to have to go quite deep down. So I wonder if I then go to a -15, that's not going to be enough for these guys. So what if I go to a -20? Yikes. Now, I could, in theory, run a station just there. Now, while it is not technically connected to this, it is a little bit of a short walk. I don't see that being an issue because that happens in real life. You got to do a short walk to the next station. It's not technically connected, but what would happen though is you'd have underground tunnels to kind of connect you. But I don't think it kind of works like that in this game. And what it does, it picks up the crossover again for the yellow, but most importantly, the blue line before we then continue. So we'll then bring this back to a -10. And then I've got the option then to add a station just here. Now, I know these are pretty close by, but this is what this line's all about. So then we have the ability to cross over on the green line. Now, do I get it to run with the green line, or are we looking towards crossing over into New Jersey? Let's see. So we'll check where the majority of people live. Let me just get rid of this build depth now. So we ain't going to view that. Workers. So there is a bit of a worker area up here, but when you select these little circles, you can see where people mainly want to go. So we want to see if it makes sense to kind of go into New Jersey. So if I just pick a couple at random, it's looking like no, believe it or not. Mainly running up this way, but that I'm just picking the circles on the actual stops. Not so much there, maybe down here. Then again, there is a few over there. So to be honest with you, I might just end it as a crossover on this station until we plan out, because I could bring it over, but I need to extend these lines a little bit further. So I think just for now, leaving it as a crossover point here should do the job. Is that going to be, I think that might be a -10 already. So if I put this to a -15, if I just do that, like that, and then that should do us just fine. So in terms of tracks, we'll get you connected. We'll add in a crossover just there. So it's actually a little bit easier than we expected it to be, apart from obviously this. I don't know what this depth is, but just running it like that, it is a lot lower than the yellow line, so we're okay. And I think I can bring this back to a 10, I think. I'm not too sure, but that shouldn't really, again, be an issue. Yeah, it shouldn't really be an issue. Now, I can commit to that build. That's great. And again, it's the start of our kind of Broadway line, if that's the correct term for it. And we will eventually extend it. But it brings the green line over the yellow line and blue line. And we need to extend it down to the red line. And then are we thinking about bringing it crossing over the pink line, maybe into the green line? Because the other option is as well, I could make it connect up to where this green line here has this separate space. I know I was saving this for something else, but I feel like this could work. I honestly feel like this could potentially work. We could do something here, which is quite exciting. So if we have the idea that maybe we're going to connect to that, it means I can run it up to there, where it crosses over the pink station there, and then comes up there, crosses, or maybe this is where it now runs parallel with the red line until it turns off. Now, this is what I said before. I got to do something a little bit different that I haven't done in this series before. And this is what we're going to do. Because I don't want to delete this, okay, because it's too much effort, it's too much work, I'm going to run a singular parallel station either side of it to artificially create it as a quad station, solely because I don't want to delete it. It's too much effort, too much work. I don't want to mess with existing infrastructure. I just want to add on to it. So with that logic, I know that's a -5. I know that's a -5 and we're going to get away with it. So if I ran a... That's not a station. Sorry. Let me do that again. If I ran a station here... and then ran a station there. Right? And then do this going for all of these. I can artificially, like I said before, create my quad station with it not being a quad station. Now, here's where we might have some issues. Oh, no. So I think that yellow is a little bit deeper than we actually originally thought. That's interesting. So where am I then running this? So to there, and then we'll turn it to go across here. To... Right, we'll turn it there where... Oh, it's a little bit out of the picture for that station, but I'll add one anyway. We'll add one anyway. So hopefully it's within, again, walking distance to where that then connects to there. Oh, I'm not a fan of that, but are we okay to continue here? No, that depth is not there. Let me undo. So we'll drop this down to a... I'm going to assume the 15's fine. Oh, no, what is the elevation? Maybe that's coming up from a 15. Well, if I did this to a 5? Okay, it works with a 5, so we'll make this station here a 5. Oh, then we've got them buildings there. That's a problem. I don't like to delete buildings. So what if I just made this be a... Because it's going to be really deep anyway, but what about a 20? So yeah, 20 works. It's a lot deeper than you expect it to be, but like I said, it should work. And then if I ran that to... No. If I brought that to there, and then if I ran from there... See, that works, but... It's a big but. I don't want it to merge into those buildings. Right, that works, so it merges in. We can get away with that. Now we just unlock the whole extension, which is pretty smart. So I've got to get this going through here, which we can't do because of the depth of the river. So if I bring this to a minus 30, just to there, and then that should connect up. And then I've got to then bring this as high as I can. So that is a... What was that again? A minus 10. So bring this to where minus 10 makes sense. Okay, right. Let's see if we can now get this working. So if I go from there, I've got to cross here. And then... Oh, do I want it to... No, I don't want to do anything on the blue line. We'll keep it as it is. And we're going to slightly wiggle this. Like that. So no, the blue line can do it. The blue line's part of the loop system, isn't it? Yeah. No, I don't think it will make much sense. It depends on what they're doing, really, isn't it? I'm not too sure about that. So let me now just connect this all up. So the singular here would go into there. And then that singular would go to there. Now, they're running on different depths, so we do have the ability to allow it to go underneath. And then we would just run this like that, run that like that. So, like I said, I've artificially created a quad route. And I could have solved this by creating a quad route and not have to do any of this. But... Ooh, okay, where do we get the crossover here? So I'm going to assume that is going deeper. Right, if I ran a little bit there, and if I then ran this into there, ooh, no. So undo you. Right, hold on. First things first. Can I run that into there okay? Yes. I need to get that to here. So can I... Right, a little bit long-winded, but we've managed to tackle that issue. And then we're straight across. I'm hoping that this is going to work, by the way. I really am hoping it's going to work. So that is now all connected up, which means that crossover route is coming down to here. Where at this minute in time, it's going to end there. And you know what? We'll make it end there. We'll drop a little crisscross just here. So it will terminate there for now until we decide how far it's going to go, and it will then terminate there as well. So if I go into build mode, so not build mode, if I now commit to building it, how much is that going to cost us? 2.89 billion. Oh, that's actually not too bad. It's actually not too bad considering. So we'll build that and then we'll create a new line, and we've got to hope that this is going to work. So I've artificially created a quad route without building a quad route, and that's because I didn't want to delete the existing area. So it should still work. Right, let's create a new line. And we are now running out of colors, by the way. So let me go back again. Let's think of a color. We're gonna go for the cherry line. Okay, I'm gonna create a cherry line. So custom color, where we've had red before. I want this to be a slightly pinky red. I'm gonna call it the cherry line. That's not a pinky red, is it? That's a pinky red. I'm going to call it the cherry line. I'm running out of colors, and cherry is not a color. I'm very aware of this. But there we go. Create that route. So the cherry line, we'll zoom in. And this is, of course, going to start here. And then coming down, it can do both stops there. And then just keep going. Both stops there. All right, turn this slightly. Let's get both of these now on the go. Boom, 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 boom. Making sure that we're hitting all of the platforms and stations. And then we get to here, and this is where it goes a little bit skew-if right now. So obviously I want to get both of them. But like I said, this is where it now goes a little bit skew-if. And we just got to hope that the game understands, because it is separate stations. And we're going to be okay. Alright, it's working so far. And then back to reality. Back on the dual system. And then that should work, providing that we now do the middle stops. And the middle stops. And the middle stops, right? And then to here. Hold on. And to there. And then this is the last station just here. So fingers crossed that is now going to work. If it doesn't work, then we'll have to kind of redo it all. But I think that might... Oh, actually, do you know what? I don't think it is. Because the number of the stops here kind of goes completely off. So 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 31. So it goes from 34th Street, which is here. Let me go back. 34th Street, so its next stop is 43 Street. 43rd Street. Which that's not the case. 31 to then what would then be considered 32, maybe? Where's that? Is there even a 32? Where's that one? Where's 40? Oh, hold on. No. I think I'm looking at it backwards. So 34, that's 12 to there. So where's the other time it goes to 31? 31 to 12, which 12 is there. Oh, no, mate, no. And then 12 here again, which comes from Barry. Right, even I'm confused. Even I'm confused at this point. 11, 12, 13, 31, and then 17. It's when it goes from 34th Street. when it does it again, which is not... We might have to follow a train here to see what a train does, but let me confirm those changes. Because there is an issue there with it maybe doubling back on itself. So if I just put one train on it all, and then I'm just going to wait for a train to spawn in. If this doesn't work, then obviously that singular train station idea is obviously not going to work. I'm just going to wait for said train to make its way through. I don't know if it's this one here. I just realized I can just follow the train. Like, follow train. So let me see what this does. So it's moving to the next station. So I think here is where it's okay. It does what it needs to do. It's coming in right now. Let me have a little bit of fast forward. Okay, maybe too quick. So to that station, to that station, to that station. Okay, we're doing everything fine as of right now. And then back again. Right, slow this down. So it gets... Wait, it didn't stop there. No, that's right. It's not stopping there. But it stopped... Wait, did it stop there or am I just seeing things? I'm not sure if I'm seeing things with that. Right, stops. Stops. Is it because I stopped and then sped up that I kind of like maybe didn't see it? Is it even stopping there? No. No, okay, that's definitely messed up then. Okay, so my idea didn't work out, and I'm not too sure why. I think it's treated... Because it's treating them as separate stations, it's having a little bit of a meltdown, isn't it? It is having a little bit of a meltdown. So maybe that's not a great idea. I wonder if it's one station that's messing it up compared to the others. So stations, edit the route. And let me see then. So it all happens here. That's all called 12th Street Station, by the way. That's not all called 12th Street Station. That's not all called Broome either. So let me just get rid of these two to begin with. So, right, and let me just get rid of these two. It could be the names of the stations. So that goes 8, 9, but that goes 15, 27. That's where it's not really working out well. So 8, 9, and that's going to be 7. Now, I wonder if I drop these on. So this is actually quite a nice little experiment we've got on the go here. So that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right, okay. So that understands what it needs to do, and it's got its orders, and that goes from 21 to 22. But it's coming back where it has the issue. So let me select you. You should be... I mean, you go to 17 from that, so let me get rid of you. So let me pick this one. I'm trying to see if it's like one station opposed to the others. You become 17, 29, 17. And then we'll attempt to do you as well. So you're 17, and that should become 29. Okay, so it doesn't like doing it on the way back, which is fair enough. So what if we just stack the stations to be a bit deeper, to then we don't have this problem? I think we do that. So what I'll do now then is I'll get rid of the trains. Okay. So getting rid of the trains, we'll delete the train real quick, which means I can then delete the line. Right, it's nice to know. So my grand idea is not actually going to work. But at least we now know, and at least I can then stack the lines. That's a shame, really, isn't it? I suppose it would work if it was like a one-way system. it would work then, because I couldn't see there being any issues. So at least we only did it here and we didn't do a full line, because that would have been heartbreaking to now go through and delete everything. So I could, in theory, I could kind of place it to the side, just so we can kind of visualize it. Now, it is running together, and this is where you would argue, okay, Soniac, you should have just put in the quad stations at this point, but I don't want to delete anything. That's going to annoy me more than anything, is trying to delete all that stuff. So it's still the 12th Street station. That's not doing what I want it to do. It's saying 1st Street now. What if I build it this way? Still 1st Street. What if I do it on the other side? Still 1st Street. What have I got to do here for it not to be that? What if I do it right underneath it? Alright. Is it an issue? I don't know. Should I be doing this as a quad station? Yes, I really should do. I really should be doing it like that. But again, I'm too lazy to get rid of my red route. This is what I don't like about this game, is the fact that I can't, like, just select the station and then, like, instantly upgrade it. So I can't upgrade a station to being 4, if that makes sense. It would be nice to be able to have the ability to do that. But we can work our way around by doing this. It's not the end of the world. Okay, it's not the end of the world. I get to visually... It still looks like it's a quad route, but it's not. And there we go. That solves them problems. So let's just build them blueprints. Not as fluid as you would like with the quad. But like I said, I'm too lazy to do it. I just don't want to delete it all and then have to put it all back in again. You know, that's just me being, you know, it's my issue. Right, so I got to create that new route again. Now, do I go with a cherry line again, or should we pick something a bit different? Because it does have to interact with the red line, so it would be nice to make it a kind of like a little bit of a different color. Do you know what? No, we'll keep it to the cherry line. I don't know why I'm calling it the cherry line, but we'll keep it to the cherry line. Make it a little bit more red. There we go. And create that route. And the game has now crashed. Lovely. Right, so I had to reload the game and then rebuild the whole line again, but it's all good, boys. We got there in the end. We've learned some stuff. Mainly, keep saving the game. Right, I've got to create that line again, unfortunately. The cherry line, do you know what? I think it's a bad omen. The cherry line, I don't think can exist now. It's going to be a bad omen. So, we'll go for a... Do you know what? We don't really have like a dark line, do we? Maybe like a really light color line. The peach... Okay, you know what? We're changing the fruit. We're going to go the peach line. I'm very aware... Whoa. I'm aware that's not a peach color. The peach line needs to be a bit more orangey, right? Would you say that's like a peachy color? That? Yeah, I'm going to say that's a peach color. We have the peach line, guys. The peach line. Right, edit this then. And then this should now be no problem. I'm learning the game's limitations. It's not as... fluid as I thought I could be, but I rather learn that lesson now than build a whole line system and it not work and then have to delete everything. So, like I said, we could have done this, and I'm going to stress this like 20 million more times. I know I could have done a quad route, but I don't want to delete anything. So we're just left with this system. If anyone says, Seniac, you could have done a quad route in the comment section, someone replied to him going, fool, he said he can't be bothered. Right, we continue. It's just interesting to find out how you like add to existing infrastructure without having to delete anything as well. Like in real life, I mean, in real life, you could upgrade it. It's not a problem, but yeah, there you go. Right, that shouldn't be an issue. The numbers all make sense. Yeah, the numbers now all make sense. The peach line has been created. So I'm instantly going to increase the capacity of the trains. It's going to go through one of the busier areas. And I think the game is broken again. Right, what is it in this game breaking? Because now I don't have any other line colors. Right, let me save this again. So, do you know what? I'm going to... Seniac 2.2. I'm going to save it as a new one, and just in case it breaks my original one. Save. Seniac 2.2. Load save. I've broken the game twice. That's never happened to me before, by the way. I've broken the game twice. Right, now... Oh, seriously, I can't add any trains to this. Right, I've added one of each. Let me now save again. So override the save. Load. I tried to load it there while it was saving. Right, surely now the peach line has trains on. No service. What's going on with this peach line? Something does not want me right now to have trains on this line. Something does not want me to have trains on this line right now. Load. The save. This... I will never... Still no service. I'm going to buy a few more anyway. But it still won't update. It still says no service. Wait. Wait. Huh? It's deleted my Guys, I've never had as many problems in this game than I'm having right now. Have I just been lucky, or am I just very unlucky right now? The line does now technically not exist. I don't know what's going on here. Actually, let me confirm this. Okay, right, now it's working. Right, now it's working. I just wanted to confirm it before I continue. Just make sure I'm not doing it out of pointless procedures. Have I got that right? Yeah. Right, we're back in business. We're back in business, guys. Do not fret. The game had a moment. Seniac had a moment. And then we came at the other end a better person. Better pizza. Papa John's. Right. This is hilarious. And there we go. So we confirm this. Back into play mode. The peach line has now been created, by the way. And then trains, I can now play with the frequency. So I'm going to do it to... I'm going to keep it on that. Okay, I'm going to keep it on that right now. The peach line now exists. You can only see it just there, and there. I should have called it the beige line, actually. But the peach line sounds a little bit better. But now all of a sudden, we've got this supporting line that runs through a little bit of the pink. While they don't change at the same station, it's a short walk anyway. Incorporates the green line a little bit. Yellow line there. Red line. Yellow line. Blue line. Green line. You got a lot of lines there. Like I said, while they're not perfect, it does the job. Now, in theory, we should see the route ridership increase pretty quickly for the peach line. Which, by the looks of it, it slowly is. As more and more people are going to use it. Where is it going to top out, though? I actually don't particularly know. So the demands right now, let me check the workers. It just adds that little bit additional support. And it might take a little bit away from the other line, thus freeing up that line slightly a bit more to carry more passengers. It doesn't fully extend to where all the areas I want it to go at the minute, but that's not too bad. It's not something to kind of reach new areas. It's more to play a supporting role, that line. You know what I mean? That's all it's for, is to play a supporting role. So it's overtaken the orange line already. It's on the way to overtaking the brown line shortly. It's just keep increasing numbers. We'll see where it bottoms out. Now, until then, I actually do want to look at extending the blue line a bit more and take this into new pastures, because this blue line is quite important for kind of connecting to all these lines going north and south. And if I check the demand stats, and I more want to look at the people here, there's a lot of people around here that want to go to this downtown area, as you can see. So it kind of makes sense to extend the blue line a bit more, just to bring them up into this vicinity. So I think we follow it. We follow this road going up. And I'm going to bring it to here. Actually, that blue line could be what goes all the way down to the airport as another part of the extension. But I reckon at some point it becomes a quad line, which I reckon the quad line could happen that it connects to there. Because we do have a quad system here. So maybe we kind of... Oh, then again, that comes in a little bit differently, where that kind of goes up. We can create a big interchange. It can kind of come through and then connect in that way. It doesn't really matter. So that's going to be all quad. I reckon that stays all quad then. Until... I'm going to say... Looking at it... About here. About there makes a lot of sense. So build station, heavy, quad, don't want to be minus 25. I'll be minus 15. That gives me a little bit of breathing space. At least on this one. So that goes there. And then I'll bring it back to 5, minus 5 to save a few pennies. So we'll do minus 5 over here over this junction, which will also incorporate another stop just there. Ooh, no, let's undo you. Bit close together, but that's fine by me. And then we'll drop you in there. And then, where's this going, by the way? It's following that road down. Now, I'm not going to take it all the way down there. I'm just going to initially end it on that junction there, because there's a lot to play around with. So we'll go back to our parallel, and then the parallel will do the rest of the work here for us. So a stop there. We'll do a nice little stop here on the crisscross, and then we can do a quick little stop just here. And then that's where that blue parallel is going to run in. So if we bring that out just a tad bit more to Bendy Wendy to connect in. So I can then have the free... Ooh! Right, we go around that building. Now, I've got a question for everyone. If I delete a building, does that remove the population and the workplaces that surround it? I've actually never thought about that, if I'm being honest. I've never really thought about that. That could be interesting. So we run that into there. Now, the rest of this is all just pretty much quad. So get that to bend slightly, get you to run in. And I'm hoping that's a solid connection. And then that becomes a solid connection as well. And do you reckon it would... Oh, no, I was going to say, do you reckon it would preempt the bend for me? to there and run this to here and then bend you in. Now, because that's the end stop at the minute for the extension of the blue line, I'll add the crossover because it's going to use the middle lines, the blue line is. So add that little crossover in there. That makes it a little bit more important, but again, with all these sticky out bits, it's now gearing me up to creating that big outer loop, which is going to be like super beneficial. So the cost of that is 1.63 billion. Actually not that expensive, to be honest with you, with how far we're extending out by. So let's build those blueprints, baby. Now, with all that time passing by with me setting that up, how far did the brand new Peach line, how far did that now climb the route ridership leaderboards? Ooh, it's still climbing, by the way. Now, looking at the blue line, 75,000, let's just call it 75,000. I wonder how much this is going to increase by once we extend it. So, pause for a second. We now select both of these, and then we run this all the way up. Beautiful. So it's got to be on the middle too. Very important on the middle too. All right, confirming all of those. Middle two, and then on the right-hand side as it comes to its end point. So we'll obviously need to add a few more trains to this because we've now extended it. Oh, did I confirm that? Oh, I'm an absolute idiot. I always forget to confirm the line. I reckon the game should add a thing in, like if you haven't confirmed it and you're about to move away from the screen, it should come up with a warning to say, you haven't confirmed the line. Would you like to confirm it now? Or like discard changes, that scenario. Because I always forget to confirm changes. So confirm changes, that's now all set up. Trains, we'll just add a couple more in to increase frequency. That should do us. Right, the blue line might throw a little bit of a wobbler to begin with. But we've got a nice little then setup. There we go, the first train making its way down. New passengers walking to the stations. And that's a lot of people who wanted to get to this working area here on Manhattan. So the fact that they're now going to all be moving. The blue line's going to get super busy. And the demand status right now for workers, it should hopefully turn some of these a little bit more bluish, as it kind of now makes a little bit more sense for those guys. You know what I mean? That's what we're hoping for anyway. That is what we are hoping for. So if I was to select, for example, this circle here, it wants to get down to here. So which one is that? Is it this one? So they find, at the minute, I don't know if it needs to update or whatnot, 100% of people are now going to be driving. I get that. The driving costs are $11. The parking costs are $5. That makes it $16.18. And apparently there's no transit paths. Are you guys feeling okay right now? Do I need to update this? I mean, I don't know which one I selected. Thinking about it. Was it you? Apparently there's no transit paths. There clearly is some transit paths. Thank you very much. I don't know how it updates or when it updates, if that's a thing. But you can clearly walk to there, hop on a train to come down. There is clearly a transit path. So why are you lying for? You know what I mean? Why are you lying for? But maybe it just takes a little bit more time to update. Maybe I have to go for like a full day cycle before that even kind of updates. But the route riderships anyway, the Peach line's looking pretty solid. The blue line is now added an extra 30,000 people on top of what it was already doing. So that's music to my ears. That really is. It's pretty nice. It is pretty nice. So that Peach line's doing its job. And we do need to continue to extend it, obviously. Nice little blue line extension there, which is doing wonders for us. Holy moly, it's going to be pushing 40,000 additional people. That's pretty cool to see. I didn't actually check the yellow route to know how many less people are now using it. Maybe that's something that I should have paid attention to. But that's fine anyway. It doesn't really matter too much. Now, our money that we're making, let me go it on a daily. Where's the daily button? There it is. Oh, get back here. Daily should now be increasing a bit more up to, hopefully we're going to be pushing 3 billion soon in daily operational profit. But we got to keep those lines extending. We really, really do. Now, we've got on this loop here, this little line here, which we need to do something with. Now, do I get that to run with the yellow line, or is that the line that kind of comes down to run here? And then we are kind of then committing to building a glorious loop. Maybe. Do you reckon that's now updated on the demand stats? Who was it, by the way? Was it you? Okay, now it's updated. Now there's a route. So now it's gone 50-50 whether they're going to use it or not. So that's interesting then. It does take 41 minutes. I get that because there's a lot of walking in. Oh no, 57. It depends on the time of day. Depends on the time of day, boys. So it's not appropriate for everybody and every time. So yeah. We'll get there though. We'll add in more transit routes. But I'm liking this. I'm liking this already. Right. That's pretty solid then, mate. That's pretty solid. So I don't know whether this here is going to bend round to the airport. This could be the Queens and Brooklyn loop, couldn't it? So maybe I can kind of bring it down and then cross all the way down to then loop it. I could create the Queens and Brooklyn loop. That probably sounds about right. Let me know what you guys think about that and where we should then progress. Do I create said Queens and Brooklyn loop? Do I need some lines that run this way into up towards Long Island? There's many choices we can now make, but what we are noticing, the further out we go, the bigger the gaps between the routes, and that's how they become. So we're up to 19% though of our ridership being on the public transit system. That's huge. But there's still lots of areas that we've got to kind of bring together. A lot of gaps we've got to bridge. All that sweet jazz. But we are bringing down the drive. I don't mind if the walking increases. I'm happy for those people. But as long as we can bring down the driving, reduce congestion on those streets. And that means more money into our bank account. Yeah. Right, next episode, we are going to go big, okay? We are going to go big. Until next time, I'll see you all soon. So, goodbye.